Hey, what's up everybody? I hope you're all feeling great today. This is my review of Locked Down, starring Anne Hathaway and Chiwetel Ejiofor. It's directed by Doug Liman, and it was reportedly filmed in just 18 days in London during the COVID-19 lockdown. This is one of the first of what I assume will be many movies centering on the events that took place in 2020. So let's get into the good, the not so good, and everything in between to see if this is one to add to your watch list or not.
Deception.
Edgar Allan Poe. Mr. Edgar Allan Poe, please report to security.
It's a new dawn.
The story here centers on Linda and Paxton, played of course by Hathaway and Ejiofor. Their long relationship seemed to kind of fizzle out prior to the pandemic, but being on lockdown together has not helped out very much. They coexist, they do make their home livable, but they sleep in different rooms and live primarily separate lives. That is, of course, until an opportunity presents itself in the form of a seemingly easy high-stakes heist of a department store that's going to be emptying out all their goods in preparation for the shutdown. Now, this was a pretty interesting movie. It was a very small budget, yet led by a couple of A-list talents, and it was a story that revolved around using the pandemic as an opportunity to pull off a heist. So I certainly was interested, and in the end, it was a solid flick that I enjoyed. I think it did some things very well, and it also faltered in places at the same time. So let's get into the positives, and I think with that, you really need to start with the performances from Hathaway and Ejiofor. I'll admit, I'm normally not a huge fan of Anne Hathaway, but surprisingly enough, I really loved what she brought to this character and the impact she left on the movie. She was able to deliver her undeniable skill as an actor, but she did so in a much more grounded form that I really enjoyed, that I think really connected with me much more. She was easily able to hit all the needed emotional notes, as well as the quick moments of humor with ease, and without all her usual over-embellishment, she really provided this film with an appealing character. And I thought Chiwetel Ejiofor was solid as well, as a man that's kind of living in a bit of a low point during his life. This character's still reeling from a choice that he made during his past. He's dealing with knowing that he's going to lose his girlfriend once the lockdown is over, and to say the least, he's really at a real turning point in his life, and I thought Ejiofor was excellent in capturing all of these different character dynamics. Ejiofor really brought a charm to this character despite all the issues that he's dealing with, and I found his performance in this role really effective in capturing the power of the human spirit, but in an extremely unassuming way. I also really enjoyed the chemistry between Hathaway and Ejiofor. There is a lot of history between these two characters. There's a lot of passion as well as a lot of contempt, and I thought they both captured it all with the sincerity to really feel like a couple dealing with a relationship and the issues of having a relationship that's going bad during a lockdown. And overall, I just really liked the casting of these two leads. It was rumored that Cillian Murphy was in talks for the role of Paxton, but I think Ejiofor was a fantastic choice. Hathaway and Ejiofor are both skilled talents, and whether it was the emotional intensity between them during the dramatic moments of the story or the subtly humorous interactions between them, I think they really made the most out of the material to carry this movie on their shoulders. I also thought sections of the story were pretty interesting. I enjoyed the exploration of this couple during lockdown, during the first half of the film, from working at home and trying to conduct tough business over the internet, to being furloughed, to just video chatting with your friends, to the pressures of being at home and what that can do to a couple. I think there were a handful of scenes that I found very interesting, as they kind of captured new elements of the world that we've lived in since the real-life pandemic swept across the globe. Sadly, however, for the drawbacks, I would start with other areas of the story, because while moments of it were here that I enjoyed, the overall progression of the narrative just, I didn't think equaled the sum of its parts. The pacing was pretty slow overall. The film, I think, was much longer than it needed to be. It also felt like two different movies slapped into the one, with the first half exploring the foundation of a relationship between Linda and Paxton, and the second half attempting to feel like a traditional heist flick. And I get it, one half of the movie is intended to fuel the motivation for the second half, but I just don't think that much time was needed in that area. I think it was very much early on that I got the gist of what place Linda and Paxton were in terms of loving one another. I mean, Hathaway and Ejiofor 4 are pros. Their performances were great. They just didn't need all the screen time that was given to developing this and their motivations to involve themselves in this heist, because I think this heist that closes out the film needed much more layering and development to it to make it feel that much more impactful. Instead, it kind of just kicks in after over an hour of day-to-day living between these two characters, and I think without the seeding of the ins and outs earlier on, the entire heist feels a bit contrived and a little bit convenient. I gotta admit, it's not a deal breaker because the closing act wasn't that bad. It delivers some tension and immediately does increase the intrigue, but it could have been worked into the story much earlier to make it feel like something that actually did have some ramifications to it. Regardless of that, I enjoyed the movie overall. I think Hathaway and Ejiofor carry this one as best they could, and I'll give Locked Down a 70%. It does have its moments. I think it could have increased the pace a bit and added a lot of depth to the actual heist. It felt like a movie focused on the exploration of a couple with the heist kind of tacked on at the end, but regardless, it's not that bad. It certainly has some unique aspects to it, but the story overall just, I don't think, utilized the time very wisely, and it results in a movie that just almost borders on wearing out its welcome. Now for today's My Silver Screen recommendations, I picked first up a fun little horror movie over on Shudder called Host, centering on a video call during the lockdown that goes horribly wrong. Next, I picked an undermentioned movie from 1999 called Go that was also directed by Doug Liman, who directed this movie. And finally, I picked Redemption from 2013 starring Jason Statham. It's one of his undermentioned movies on his filmography, but it was also written by Stephen Knight, who wrote this movie, and it's a solid flick if you haven't seen it. Thank you so much for watching this video, guys. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, drop it a thumbs up, leave a comment below. I'd love to talk movies with you guys. Share it with your friends, and without question, hit that subscribe button and the notification bell so you can never miss a video. Here are some links to some recent reviews just in case you missed them. All my social media links and the link to our official website are down in the description below, and I'll catch you next time.